PowerPoint up, right?
No, PDF.
You want the PDF? Okay.
It's easier to read.
And we're back from our 1 hour break. So we'll continue with our item.
Yeah, there she is.
Yep. Okay. And we are still on our item, which is was continued. Consideration of proposed major use permit, UP 20-95, Artemis Farms, LLC, and mitigated negative declaration, IS 20-115, for permit approval that would allow for up to 653,400 square feet of outdoor commercial cannabis canopy with approximately 1,306,800 square feet of cultivation area located at 5200, 5500, 4960, and 4970 Bartlett Springs Road, and 7197, 15 and 11 Road, Lucerne, California. APNs is 004-018-07-19 or 19, 20, 22, 33, 34, 35, and 36, and 004-028-21 and 22. So we left off with a presentation. I think so, right? Yeah, so I'll be opening public comment.
After the presentation, or?
You're good to go. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you again for the continuance. I believe that we were able to go back and further mitigate some of the concerns with this project and make additional concessions. And since Andrew did such a good job with the presentation earlier, I'll flip through a lot of these slides, and then if we have questions or comments, we can always go back and revisit them. So this just explains the cultivation parcels, project parcels, and address. In the intro slide, you can go to the next one. So this is taken from the county GIS, and I just want to point out the initial proposition for this project was over 250 lots for homes initially proposed, and then it was vineyards, and then it went into 12 ranches or ranchettes to be parceled out and given to individual owners. Next one. And I just wanted to clarify some of the questions or comments. When we first started this project, there was a lot of confusion in the county on what was cultivation area, if aisles were included, if it was the entire fenced-in area. So what I did was put all three numbers on the map, and I realized that might have made it a little bit more confusing to absorb. So I just wanted to break out here that the fenced-in area around our project parcels is 5.2 acres on Area A, with the cultivation area being 3.48 acres, and that includes aisles. So we're actually cultivating probably 50% less than what's listed on the project, but we wanted to use the entire fenced-in area in case we change cultivation styles, our rows go a different way, that we would have enough licenses in order to do so. But the fact of the matter is we will be cultivating no more than 11.38 acres at any time, and that includes the aisleways, which is roughly 1.5% of the total land of the project. There's a 20-foot fire road around the entire project area within the fenced-in area for access. Next slide. Our initial study, mitigated negative declaration, was created by Montrose. Their biologists have made multiple visits to the property and have prepared a CEQA analysis for the basis of the ISM&D's findings. And I just want to point out again that Montrose has been retained by the state of California to consult on all CEQA cannabis policy, making them the foremost leading experts on the subject of CEQA analysis in relation to cannabis cultivation and development projects. This is a big box firm. They are very reputable, so much so that the state of California has retained them. I do have biologists on the line today, so if you have any questions about the ISM&D, They're happy to answer them. And then the Lake County Community Development Department, in addition, did a thorough vetting of their CEQA analysis and made their own determination. And then all of our documentation has been thoroughly reviewed and approved by our CEQA attorneys. Water conservation practices. Water is very important to us, and on our water availability analysis, we took into account the entire fenced-in area, not just the rows of cultivation. So the water use is actually substantially less than what we have in the report, but we wanted to make sure that we had enough water, and I think it's over and above what the requirement is, because it's not just our cultivation area, it's the entire project area. We have on-site state-of-the-art Davis weather stations. We have grow point soil-based moisture sensors in the soil to ensure that we're not delivering too much water to the plant and that it's drinking as much as the plant needs through its micro drip irrigation systems. We use organic mulch and composting, which also reduces water usage, as well as low-till or no-till agriculture. We have seasonal cover crops that we plant, and deficit irrigation strategies and introduction of native grasses and buffalo grass to the area. We took into account the drought monitoring system in our drought mitigation analysis, and have covered all of the concerns and addressed if we get into an abnormally dry, moderate drought, severe drought, extreme drought, or exceptional drought, and we will make concessions to our irrigation strategy accordingly. Next one. This is more about the drought classifications. You can go. And then the native species, which I think Sarah touched on, and we have been in touch with CDFW, and I believe that they were satisfied with Andrew's responses. Only one of the 4 bird species identified inhabits the region. The conditions of approval recommend mitigated measures to survey for active nests within 500 feet of construction areas by a qualified biologist, implementing disturbance-free buffers near any nests. And these are all part of our conditions of approval with relation to native species. Our integrated pest management program includes that all pesticides will be approved by the California Department of Food and Agriculture. All licensed cannabis farms must go through rigorous testings that are over and above the standards of what's required for food and other consumable products. And so our IMP practices even go above and beyond that. We use a lot of essential oils, beneficial insects, and things of that nature to mitigate pest pathogens. So no heavy pesticides are used on the project. You flip to the next slide. We focus on GAP and OCAL certification. So OCAL is California's program that establishes and enforces comparable to organic standards, and it is recognized by the state of California. Because cannabis is federally illegal, we can't certify it as organic, but this is the equivalent of that, and we will implement that third-party process on our farms, as well as GAP standards, which stands for Good Agricultural Practices, which we can find on the next slide. So the components of GAP and Good Agricultural Practices focuses on legal, contamination prevention, identification, efficacy, production, sustainability, documentation and traceability, and hygiene. One of the main concerns that we go over and above is that the HLVD hop latent virus, viroid for cannabis, is probably one of the biggest things that is facing farmers today. And it can account for a 10 to 15% crop loss depending on what your viral loads are. And because a lot of the nursery stock comes in from the Central Coast, where it's just rampant with these nurseries, and you can see Dark Heart Nursery did research that involved over 200,000 tissue tests that concluded that 90% of cannabis in growing facilities are contaminated with HLVD. It is a systemic virus, and so it's not something that you can treat with a pesticide. You have to actually put it into tissue culture to mitigate that virus. So we would be one of the first nurseries in Lake County, or the first nursery, I believe, in Lake County. We will implement tissue culture on our project, and move those into clean mother stock and test rigorously before distributing clones to the community. The other benefit is that most of the clones that we get come from the Central Coast, which is not acclimated to this climate. So the clones would actually be acclimated to the Lake County environment. So it benefits not only our own farm, but farms within the region as well. And all of our products run through our manufacturing facility that's currently licensed in Lower Lake. We implement a GMP standard in our manufacturing facility. It is we use several clean room technologies, including ISO 7 and ISO 8 when we're packaging products. And we create vape pens, packaged flowers, pre-rolls, rosin, and we give farmers here the ability to brand their own products, which is not currently available, so that they have the option to be more than just a wholesale market. And so that facility is set to come online in the fall of 2023 before the next harvest season. And I just want to thank you all for your consideration.
Seeing as public comment is still open, do we have any hands in the Zoom room?
There is one hand in the Zoom room. Lance W., you are now allowed to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Hi there, this is Lance Williams. I just wanted to voice my opinion that I would love to see this project come to fruition. I have a property that is above this one on Bartlett, and since they've taken over, the Bartlett Springs Road has been quite cleared of trash, homelessness, and they upkeep everything. I was also looking at some of the stats in that area. So this leads right into the National Forest. There's roughly, I think, 960,000 acres there. So when I've heard these arguments of, well, you know, there could be some environmental problems. Well, there's a reason why there's 1 million acres that is set aside for this, and there aren't really any neighbors there, as this project was already, you know, proposed at 250 houses. I don't see any environmental impacts really coming through, and I think if you went up the road Bartlett and then you went down, you'd see how much wildlife and how much open space there is. So as a neighbor, I would just like to say I hope you do approve this project. I think she is a good actor, and I don't think there's been any problems, as she stated, with her licenses in the county. So, and that would be multiple licenses. So I hope you take the time to quickly approve this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Is there another hand in the room?
Participant in Zoom room, Jennifer Smith, you are now allowed to talk, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Jennifer Smith. Really wanted to offer my support for this project. These are the type of projects that, you know, that myself and the LCCA will support. It's in the right zoning. This is an outstanding participant in the community. One of the best parts about this project is that Autumn and her team can really fulfill the entire processing from the plant start to the end package going to retail. She already has that processing facility. We know she's got the ability to process everything that she grows, and that's essential. It's essential that that there's a thorough pipeline for the product coming off that farm. Her projects are first class in nature. You know, we continue to be recognized as a premier growing region, and we're attracting, you know, professional operators like this. And these are the types of projects that we should get behind and support, because they support our community as a whole with jobs and reinvestment in the community. And I hope that you will consider approving this project. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have another one? Okay.
Participant in Zoom room, Richard Durham, you are now allowed to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. This is Richard Durham. Yeah, I just was going to throw credit or reference that these people are awesome. They already have their place on Highway 29. We need professional growers and professional people in the industry, and this is about the utmost you can get. And I throw my full approval behind it. I think that we would be happy to have them as leaders in the cannabis industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are no more participants in the Zoom room.
Now we'll take hands in the chambers, whoever wishes to speak. Just please state your first and last name.
Good afternoon, I'm Pam Harpster. I'm with Management Connections, and I'm a staffing agency. I'm not, but I run a staffing agency here in Lakeport. And I've been working with Autumn and her team for quite a while, since they got started over there at Alchemy 29. And I have to say, what a pleasure it is to work with them. I think that Lake County right now has gone through a great deal in navigating and working through this, the process of dealing with cannabis. I think that we're in an amazing place right now where we can actually start to benefit from all the taxations and everything that comes from that. Our earth is, making it, the growing here amazing for our grapes and for the cannabis, which is awesome. But I come here actually representing the workforce. What I love about any kind of manufacturing and agricultural jobs is one job creates 6 jobs. And what they are offering is year-round employment with livable, sustainable wages. And they're fair, their practice is above stellar. I run a background check. I make sure that they are legal, they can work legally in the United States, and I'm really happy to do so. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Bobby Dutcher in Lakeport, and I already exhausted my 1,000 characters in e-comment, so you guys know my background with the property here. So that is, that's a huge concern, is having to, if you turn this down and they don't want it anymore, they want to get the highest and best return from it, they'll have me sell these off in parcels again. And I already went through that once, and we went up all these black market growers or people, once they find out what the building standards are, they decide they're not going to do that. They just put up shacks or they drag trailers up there or live in tents. I mean, it's a disaster. And like Lance just said, if you drive up Bartlett Springs Road, especially if you're really paying attention to binoculars and you start looking, everything you see, that's exactly what you'll see is just trailers and junk cars, and it never turns out good. So another problem, like I was in forestry for 20 years before I became a real estate broker, and this tree planting thing, this is, everybody does it because it makes them feel better, but now there's a scramble to find seedlings, so you don't know where you're going to be getting these things. So if you want to replace ponderosa pines or black oak, did it come from Idaho or Oregon or Susanville or Bishop, or where did it come from? The seed zones are never matched because you're really limited to where you can get them. So it's almost as bad as bringing in an invasive species. You go out there, you bring a tree that doesn't belong there, even though it might be a ponderosa pine or a black oak, and then you plant it out in some opening, so that's a good place for a tree. No, if a tree was supposed to be there, nature would have put it there. So our property burned in the fire, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. We just left it alone. So all the hardwoods come up, and now all these seedlings have shade, but they're native, they're natural. So we didn't plant a single tree on it, but the forest is taking care of itself. So again, it seems to be like a trendy thing. I'll make them plant 7 trees. Well, you're planting 7 bad trees or 2. No matter what you make them plant there, if it was me, I wouldn't plant any. Just let nature do it, and they will plant the amount of trees that should be there will be there, and they will be native trees to that area, and they will be acclimated to the area. So I was also licensed for archaeology work, and I've sold this ranch, like say 4 times. I've been all over it for 20-something years. It's called 40 Springs Valley. There's water all over this thing, and almost every one of these springs has got an archaeological site by it. So no one's ever gone out there and studied it and recorded the sites and everything, but I've been all over it and found them. So, Autumn's group they're going to have their footprint. It's already been carefully studied. There's no sites there. If you have me or someone else sell all 10 of these parcels off to whoever, usually they find, oh, here's a great place next to the spring. They'll bulldoze these off. They'll put their trailers or whatever. Then they just thrash these archaeological sites. on this property, that's never happened, and I really hope it doesn't. So I think the property couldn't be in better hands. If you want to turn it down and I get to sell these off again, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars selling this ranch. I mean, I'll go do it again. I'll be more than happy to help take you up on that. But, nothing would make me happier than you put me out of business with this ranch and leave it in these hands and let these people be stewards. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Erin McCarrick, City of Clear Lake. I run a distribution company out there, and I'm the vice president of the Lake County Cannabis Alliance. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioner Brown, for hearing this again as it's been continued. I'm just voicing my support not only for this project, but also for Autumn and her crew. They are dedicated, tenacious, and planned. And I think that is key to set them apart from many other applicants and many other growers, either in traditional or legal market. This group has stuck it out throughout the years and years and years, going through every iteration of the CDD, every iteration of consultants and planners and everything. They have had a vision, stuck to it, abided by all the rules and regulations. And if there is something that a commissioner or a public member wants to see, they're more than happy to address that, more than happy to address what, be it environmental, be it cultural, be it tribal, be it, within the society, within the cannabis community. They've done that. So the presentation speaks for itself. So I'm just speaking on behalf of their dedication, commitment to the community and to this project and to the future cannabis industry in this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Rodriguez. I'm a fellow resident of Lakeport, and I'm currently the office manager at Alchemy 29. I am here today to read you a letter on behalf of Jim Fetzer, who could not be here. Make myself taller. There we go. Careful, I like these things. There we go. Honorable Commissioners, I am a longtime resident and business owner here in Lake County, and I write this letter as a former landowner of the property you are considering for this use permit, 20-95. I am also the current owner of Ciago, a sustainable vineyard which is located across the highway from this location. What happens with this property matters to me. As a neighbor and as someone who loves the land, I originally acquired the property in 2004 with potential plans to plant it as a vineyard. I decided to sell it in 2006, which I later regretted. It was occupied by illegal growers who had no regard for the land or the law. They put trailers on the property, and there were piles of discarded supplies and trash. I bought it back in 2009 to clean it up and restore it, and held onto it for a long time to keep it out of the wrong hands. Selling it to the right person was the most important thing to me. When Autumn approached me, I knew she was that person. I sold it to her in 2020 and have had a good working relationship with her for a few years now. She has contracted with my crew to maintain the trails, clear felled trees, and keep an eye on the property. I entrust Autumn to be a good steward of the forest and run a lawful and professional operation, and look forward to having her in the neighborhood. I encourage you to grant her the use permit. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Jim Fetzer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the chambers would like to speak before I bring it to the Zoom room for one last check?
There are no hands raised in the Zoom room.
Okay, so I'll be closing public comment and bringing it back to the commission for further questions.
Mr. Chair, I have no further questions. Comment, though, I was pretty vocal at the last meeting about generators and et cetera, and I really appreciate this additional document that clarifies in terms of your intent, but also in terms of the conditions of approval, and I'm prepared to support this project.
I don't have any questions, just a few comments. I definitely, in reviewing the documents, agree that this is an operation that's compatible with the land use. One of the things I continue to hear, and this is just not in comment not directed at anybody specifically, but one of the things I'd like to acknowledge and for future operators to come in and do their due diligence, please contact also the local tribes biologists. One of the things that I noticed that gets overlooked is a lot of the traditional medicinal plant uses that with this size of land usually get impacted because they're not of significant species, or they're not protected, they're not on any list of endangerment, but they have to be acknowledged. And so it's important, and if the tribes don't respond back, that's up to them. But I do encourage the diligence and reaching out, because there's a lot of information out there on that plant use, how the plants are traditionally and still used in modern times for medicines. And one of the comments that really I don't take offense to, but sometimes it's important to understand, is that my ancestors maintained and practiced prescribed burning of this land. So that's why this land is so fertile. And it's important to acknowledge that, and I don't ever see that acknowledged anywhere, any comments in regards to biologists acknowledging the tribal use of this lands. But it's important to understand that good stewards are critical in projects. And so I recognize that we have a good steward, and I support this project. But I just wanted to make that known and just share that thought, because it's not really something I hear or that is acknowledged. And I know CAL FIRE is in talks and in partnership with the tribes on prescribed burning, and there's actually programs that are actively happening, so we don't have the wildfires that we did in past. So it's just a comment not directed at nobody, but I wanted to say and put out. But at this time, I'm ready to support this project as well.
Thank you for that comment.
Chair, it's Christina, Commissioner Price, District 4. I don't have any questions, but I'm in support of this project as well and excited to see it come to fruition.
So, thank you, Christina. I guess we're ready for action.
Yes, I'll go ahead and make the motion. So I move that the Planning Commission find that major use permit UP 20-95 or for Artemis Farms on property located at 5200 Bartlett Springs Road, Nice, APN 004-018-33, 004-018-34, 004-028-21, 004-018-36, 004-018-07, 004-018-35, 004-028-22, 004-018-19, 004-018-20, 004-018-22 will not have a significant effect on the environment as mitigated and approved mitigated negative declaration IS 2115 based on findings listed in the staff report dated March 30th. Should be dated today, or as we're doing today from the 30th.
Today's date.
Today's date, 2023.
Second?
Commissioner Hess?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Field is absent. I say yes as well. Motion passes.
Okay, I move that the Planning Commission approve major use permit UP 20-95 for Artemis Farms on property located at 5200 Bartlett Springs Road, Nice, APN 004-018-33, 004-018-34, 004-028-21, 004-018-36, 004-018-07, 004-018-35, 004-028-22, 004-018-19, 004-018-20, 004-018-22, based on the findings and subject to the conditions listed in the staff report dated with today's date, June 8th, 2023.
Second?
Commissioner Hess?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Field is absent, and I say aye as well. Note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-day calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th day following the Planning Commission's decision on this matter. And moving on to our next item, item 8. Consideration of proposed, am I in the right? Oh, wait, sorry. Public hearing continued from May 25th, 2023. Consideration of general plan conformity determination, GPC 23-01 and categorical exemption, CE 23-13 for acquisition of property for a future public park located at 16540 State Highway 175, Cobb, APN 013-056-04. The applicant is Lake County Public Services Department.
Hello and good afternoon, Commissioners. Catherine Schaefer's Resource Planner. So today I am going to be presenting a GPC, General Plan of Conformity. This is just for the acquisition of the land. This does not include a CEQA analysis of the project, which is not here yet. Okay, so the Lake County Public Services Department has identified a potential parcel for the public park in the Cobb Mountain Planning area. The department is proposing to purchase the approximately 12.88, just under 13-acre property. Pursuant to Government Code Section 65402, before the county can purchase property, a determination of conformity with the Lake County General Plan must be made by the Planning Commission. It should be noted that due to the funding deadline for purchase of the property, this determination of conformity is only for the acquisition of land and does not include the General Plan of Conformity determination for construction of park buildings, structures, etc., under a full CEQA analysis. The recommendation for this determination will be scheduled at a future Planning Commission meeting. Under the CEQA Class 16 categorical exemption, the acquisition of land in order to establish a park where the land is in a natural condition and that the management plan for the park has not been prepared is categorically exempt from CEQA. So that would be the environmental determination for today. Okay, so the zoning where this is located would be rural lands, rural residential, suburban reserve, and community commercial. The location of this park is in the Cobb Mountain Planning area. It is just a little ways away from the intersection of 175. And as the point of the presentation today is that general plan of conformity, I'll just take you through a few of the general plan policies and goals and see how this matches up. So under Chapter 3, Land Use Element, LU1, that is to encourage the overall economic and social growth of the county while maintaining its quality of life standards. We have LU 1.3 and 1.4 as policies. 1.3 states the county shall prevent the intrusion of new incompatible land uses into existing community areas. And 1.4, the county shall recognize each community as an important asset to the county and seek to strengthen and revitalize all communities. So for this parcel, the land uses surrounding are predominantly rural and low-density residential, with a large rural residential 34-acre parcel to the north that is currently developed as a golf course, and planned development commercial parcels to the west. The introduction of a park to this area would conform to the existing uses surrounding the proposed parcel and would provide a central point for the Cobb community to recreate. Per the Cobb Mountain Area Plan, historically, the Cobb Mountain area has been the center of a variety of recreation activities, including outdoor pursuits such as hot springs resorts, hunting, and fishing. However, no county-owned park or recreation facilities have been developed in the area. Overall, there is a need to rejuvenate both the area's private resorts and develop more public park and recreation opportunities in the Cobb Mountain area. So this acquisition would allow the county to assess the impacts of providing a park to the Cobb community at this location. By recognizing the need for a park in the Cobb Mountain area, the county is also recognizing this community's value as an important asset. LU7, Goal LU7, Land Use 7 was also analyzed, sub-policies 7.4. So the county shall ensure that new development respects Lake County's heritage by requiring that development respond to its context, be compatible with traditions, and character of each community and develop in an orderly fashion which is compatible with the scale of the surrounding structures. So, per the Cobb Mountain Area Plan, a larger park is needed to serve area growth. The National Recreation and Park Association, NRPA, acreage standards for determining park and recreation facilities in specific areas are used for planning community-oriented parks as well as regional facilities. As a general rule, these standards provide that 2.5 acres of park site be developed for every 1,000 people in the service areas. And according to these standards, the Cobb Mountain area is in need of at least one neighborhood or wayside park and eventually a 5 to 20 acre community park to serve area growth. So the purchase of this parcel would allow an analysis of the potential for a park site in the Cobb area to commence. Our final analysis with the general plan comes from Chapter 9, Open Space, Conservation, and Recreation. Policy OSC 6.3 has various recommendations for size, location for a potential park. And so if you'd like to take a look at the staff report, they're all listed there, but I won't list them out here. The response here, though, is that the parcel is located in an area that hits all of these. So it's approximately 1,500 feet to the south of the intersection of Highway 175 and Bottle Rock Road, which is a major transit point in the Cobb Mountain Planning area. Per the 2006 traffic volume forecast, approximately 3,320 cars drove west through the intersection in a 12-hour period. Once again, this is pulled from the Cobb area plan. Directly to the north of this intersection is a retail area containing Hardisters, as well as Mountain High Coffee and Books and other services. We also have community commercial zone parcels in the area, including the Cobb Pacific Gas Station, the Water District, and the South Lake County Fire Protection District. Also, a post office is in the area as well. So this would be a centrally located place where many people in the community would drive through to get to various services in the area. The proposed parcel is just shy of 13 acres in size and would fit within the prescribed acreage range for the requirements. So the Cobb area plan, as designated by the Lake County General Plan, is large. It is 73.5 square miles, and the population estimate in 2006 was 4,700, assuming a low 3% growth rate. In the year 2023, that growth rate would translate to approximately 7,766 persons, with a level of service standard of 5 acres per 1,000 residents. The Cobb Mountain Planning Area is due for the introduction of a public park, and the acquisition of this parcel would match the locational requirements as identified in this section of the general plan. As far as the environmental review, once again, the activity only involves a determination concerning the consistency of the purchase of the land with the county's general plan. Accordingly, there is no potential for this approval resulting in any significant physical change to the environment, either directly or indirectly, and is not subject to CEQA review. No management plan has yet been proposed. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission, after reviewing the agenda report and receiving evidence at this public meeting, finds that the location, purpose, and extent of the proposed property acquisition is in conformance with the Lake County General Plan pursuant to Government Code Section 65402. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Catherine. So I'll open public comment just to see if anybody in chambers wishes to speak. We'll take a look in the Zoom room.
No hands raised in the Zoom room.
All right, seeing none, so I'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission.
Seems pretty straightforward to me, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
I have no questions.
Commissioner Price, do you have any questions or?
My computer cut out. Did we make a motion?
No motions are made yet.
Okay. I could try to bring it up and read it, unless someone else is prepared more than I am.
Happy to, Christina.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the analysis of consistency with the Lake County General Plan to acquire land for the establishment of a park is not subject to CEQA because it falls within Section 15316A of the State Secret Guidelines, Division 6 of Chapter 3 of Title 14 of the California Code of Regulations as a Class 16 categorical exemption.
Second.
Commissioner Hess,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Commissioner Field is absent, and I also say aye as well.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the acquisition of land as proposed by Lake County Department of Public Services is in conformity with the Lake County General Plan.
I'll second.
Commissioner
I'll
Hess.
second.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Price,
Aye.
Commissioner Field is absent, and I say aye as well. Motion passes. Note, the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission's recommendation, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Commission's final determination. Moving on to our item number 9, consideration of amendment MMU 23-02 to mitigated negative declaration IS 1909 and modified use permit conditions for the Red Hills Bioenergy Project, UP 19-05. Location is 7130 Red Hills Road, Kelseyville, APN 009-021-07. Applicant is Scotts Valley Energy Corporation.
Hello, Commissioners. Once again, this is Catherine Schaefer's Resource Planner, and today, for this item, I will be presenting a amendment and also an addendum. These are both to the Red Hills Bioenergy Project. Oh, wait. All right, so on the agenda today, we're going to go through the project's location, and since this does have a little bit of a background, it's a project that was approved by the Planning Commission back in 2020, so we'll go through that a little bit. And then we'll go through the revised project's proposal, the amendment rationale, why we're doing an amendment today, the project analysis, and then concluding with our recommendation. Right, so project location. This project is located in Kelseyville at the intersection of Highway 29 and Red Hills Road. Due to its proximity to the highway, a portion of the 34-acre parcel to the north is zoned highway commercial. That's about 10.5 acres of this 34-acre parcel. The remaining acreage to the south is zoned rural residential. It is within this latter designation where the project is to occur. Since the parcel is split zoned, the southern rural residential zoning designation would apply to the project site, along with the subzoning of the scenic mining district. So that star is an approximation, if you're looking at the PowerPoint, of where the project is located. So you can see it is below that highway commercial zone. It's in the rural residential. All right, so here's a little bit of the project's background, the approved project. So on April 23rd, 2020, the Planning Commission approved this project under Major Use Permit 1905. The project was subsequently appealed to the Board of Supervisors, which was then who then approved the project on August 18th, 2020. The project CEQA determination was then challenged in the Superior Court, wherein all parties reached an agreement that necessitated minor project changes and additional conditions of approval. The green sheet that you have with you today will outline those additional conditions. The applicant subsequently applied for an amendment to their permit under Section 60.33, Amendments to the Permit, of the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, with project changes included in the project description, which is Attachment 3, and Site Plan, which is Attachment 1. The originally approved project entailed a small-scale bioenergy production facility using the ARTIS system. And actually, I'm going to jump you to the next slide so you can see the changes between the approved project and then the revised project, which is today. So once again, the originally approved project entailed a small-scale bioenergy production facility using the ARTIS system, located within a fully enclosed 40-foot by 50-foot, 2,000 square foot building. The ARTIS system has no open flame components and is a sealed system which uses programmable electric heaters to achieve optimal temperatures. Woody biomass would then be fed into the system and heated to a level that reduces the biomass to a gas known as syngas and a solid byproduct known as biochar. So that ARTIS system would not change for this amended project, so that system would remain the same. In addition to the indoor ARTIS system processing, there would be a storage area approximately 28,000 square feet in size to house and process the production plant's woody biomass. The woody biomass would be incoming from PG&E's line clearance program. As of 2019, the applicant had entered into an agreement with PG&E to store and ship the program's forest material. This is once again a description of the approved project back in 2020. 20-foot wide travel lanes would encircle the building for access via maintenance trucks and personnel. 2 20-foot wide lanes would parallel the south side and eastern sides of the outdoor storage area. There would be a hammerhead T at the northern end of the east lane to accommodate the turning around of the approximately 2 to 5 deliveries per day of this forest material. The plant would operate 24 hours per day, shutting down once per week for maintenance. 1 full-time employee would operate the facility. So under the revised project, with the elimination of the outdoor storage area, so that means that 28,000 square foot outdoor storage area is now going to be removed. Only indoor processing with that ARTIS system would remain. Biomass material deliveries would occur no more frequently than 1 truckload per day. The biomass would be backed in and the material unloaded within the building structure. The biomass would then be transferred to the ARTIS unit's hopper, where the pyrolysis and gasification technology under the approved project would remain the same. So if we take a look at the chart here, as you can see, the major changes are highlighted. It's mostly a reduction in activities. The biggest change would probably be the movement of the project. Originally, it was 140 feet east of Red Hills Road. It is now being moved further west by 20 feet, so it's 180 feet east of Red Hills Road. The removal of the outdoor storage area is also significant change to the project, but not significant under CEQA, as we'll get into later. The travel lanes around the building will remain the same. The hammerhead turnaround has been removed, as well as the travel lanes bordering the now non-existent processing area. And a quick note, none of this project has been built yet. So even though it was approved in 2020, construction has not taken place. Okay, so under the revised project, there are 3 additional conditions of approval. That's the green sheet item that you have today. The green sheet reflects the minor wording changes that were inserted into the conditions. For example, one of the conditions, and you can see this in, I believe it's attachment 6, proposed project modifications. One of the conditions was still describing that the outdoor storage area would be reduced instead of eliminated. So we corrected that because the actual project description that was given to our department had the elimination entirely of this area. So that was reflected in the conditions. All right, so amendments in our zoning ordinance are covered under Article 60.33. Pursuant to this article, by changing some of the project's uses and structures and including new conditions, the permit qualifies for an amendment and the granting of new use permit conditions pending approval by the Planning Commission. As is mentioned here on the slide, this is a direct quote from our article. The project must undergo the same procedure for adoption, which in this case would include an evaluation for consistency with the Lake County General Plan, the Riviera's Area Plan, and the zoning ordinance, as well as an environmental analysis pursuant to CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. All right, so starting with the general plan. So the land use element was again taken as the primary thing to compare against, specifically goal LU5, which is to promote the development of industrial uses, among other things. The policy here would be compatibility with surrounding land uses. That policy states the county shall ensure that appropriate industrial and heavy commercial sites will not result in significant harmful impacts to adjacent land uses. In addition, sites should be designed to prevent the intrusion of incompatible uses into industrial zoning areas. So the project's land use in the form of a bioenergy plant is an allowed use with an approved use permit in the rural residential zoning district. The project's approved and revised use permit has been analyzed for significant harmful effects on the environment and to adjacent land uses, both with the original mitigated negative declaration and with the addendum that's in the attachments for today. Policy LU 5.5 access was also analyzed. And in response to that, the project's parcel location is directly adjacent to State Route 29, with the project site approximately 900 feet south of the intersection between State Highway 29, which is a principal arterial road, and the rural minor collector Red Hills Road. To enter the project site, traffic would be routed either north or south along Red Hills Road. So both of these show that the project is in conformance. With the Riviera's area plan, we also have some analysis here. Objective 3.52A states that to take measures to protect and enhance the scenic resources in the Riviera's planning area. With a policy 3.5.2B, the siting of structures must not only reflect appropriate setbacks, but also consider the rural vista. Buildings should complement and not block views. So as per the approved project's initial study, the applicant provided a visual impact assessment windshield survey with photographs of the project site from various vantage points. This windshield survey was presented at the Planning Commission meeting back in 2020. Due to the distance and vegetation, the proposed project would not be visible from State Route 29. In the approved project, the building would be located 140 east of the rural two-lane Red Hills Road, which is accessed primarily by motorists, as there are no paved shoulders to accommodate pedestrians. By relocating the building an additional amount of feet to the east, 40 feet to the east, the revised project would further diminish the project's visual impact from Red Hills Road, so it would be going further away. All right, so the second objective is to apply measures which protect life and property from fires. Policy 4.31A, fire protection standards. So in the revised project description, there was a point made that defensible space was going to be considered and become part of the project. It would be maintained around the project with 40 feet of defensible space on the north and west sides, 40 feet on the south side, and around 60 feet on the east side. The revised project would still include water storage tanks and electrical service. The proposed operation would require electrical service, which would be delivered from a PG&E utility pole located on Red Hills Road. An overhead line will connect to a utility pole that will be situated on the west side of the parcel. Additionally, the revised project's conditions of approval includes a requirement for adherence to all California fire codes, including 4290 and 4291. So the conditions of approval that you have in front of you not only include those updated conditions from the litigation, those are the original conditions from the approved use permit. So nothing else has changed from there, except for the date, which would be today. Right, so going on to the zoning ordinance, the base zoning is rural residential. Like I said, the parcel is split zone, so at the north is highway commercial. But that won't be analyzed today because those that designation does not apply to the project site. So we'll be taking a look at rural residential and then the scenic combining, which is under that rural residential designation. So pursuant to Article 27 of the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, there are a variety of commercial or industrial uses permitted in the rural residential zoning district upon securing a major or minor use permit, including a power generation facility. So this is definitely allowed here. Under the scenic combining district, the proposed commercial industrial use is located in an appropriately zoned area of the county, as the surrounding parcels range in size from approximately 5 acres to greater than 400 acres in size and are developed with commercial and agricultural uses and ranchette-style single-family dwellings. Additionally, the proposed infrastructure would be designed to be situated in a manner including the use of earth tones to neutralize the color and to help minimize the visual impacts while using the natural topography. All right, and then our last analysis would be the environmental one. So this is the big one. So this project does have an addendum to the initial study that was written. So by going through this, and I'll try and make this very brief, it'll show that the impacts associated with this project will be actually less than the original project itself. So in the state CEQA guidelines, section 1564 pertains to minor changes to a mitigated negative declaration. In this section, an addendum to an approved mitigated negative declaration decision is allowed to be prepared if only minor technical changes or additions are necessary, or conditions that would require additional mitigations are not found. Here, the county has opted to prepare an addendum to assess the reductions, minor changes, and project relocation, and has subsequently found that little to no change with respect to the environmental impact conclusions of the original mitigated negative declaration would result, and that there would be no new significant environmental effects. Recommendations. So staff recommends the Planning Commission find that the addendum prepared for the adopted mitigated negative declaration, as supported by Initial Study 1909, meets the requirements of Section 15164 of the State CEQA Guidelines, California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Chapter 3, and that no additional environmental review need be prepared for the relocation of and minor changes proposed for the revised project. And secondly, to approve the amendment, which would be MMU 2302, for the UP 1905 Red Hills Bioenergy Project with the following findings and conditions. Number one, this amendment is consistent with the County of Lake General Plan, Zoning Ordinance, and Riviera's Area Plan. And number two, that there has been no substantial change in circumstances resulting in new significant environmental impacts that were not addressed in the approved 2020 mitigated negative declaration. All right, so that concludes my presentation, and I will be happy to take any questions.
So I kind of have a question, I guess, regarding, I've never seen a plant like this before.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious as to, they throw the biomass in there and produces energy and...
Sure, yeah, so I was very curious about this one too. So what happens here, and I'll do my best, but so a plant like this, it's renewable and sustainable energy, so it's not just forest material that it can take, but any kind of biomass. So I'll speak into the microphone here. This can be municipal waste, forestry, extra forestry material, agricultural products. And so what happens is that you have this this biomass delivered to the site. If it's chipped or unchipped, it has to get down to a specified, I guess, minimum threshold for it to go into the hopper of this system. And so once it is in this minimum size, it's then put into, let's see if I can do this correctly, I might have to refer to the applicant, but once it goes into the artist system, it gets, what is it? It's like, it undergoes pyrolysis, which is kind of like it's heated to the point where it makes gas. And so there is a subproduct that's produced from that. It's called biochar, and that can be sold for agricultural processes. But the syngas is what is produced. And that, I think it's something like 99.9% hydrogen, and that can be used as a gas that can then power, I guess, the operation itself and use for renewable energy. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. Yeah.
I saw that it, once it produces an excess amount of energy, then the PG or the, what was it, some post that's
syngas?
No, like they can send it back into the grid, because I know
Yes.
there's a a plant really like across the street from them, next to Kids Corner.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious as to how they're going to be connected, or if they're going to be selling that energy back to that plant.
I don't know if they're going to be selling that to the plant next door, but I know that it can be sold. So I think a question like that would be a great question for the applicant.
Is the applicant here? So I'll open up public comment if the applicant wishes to say a few words.
He's been here all day.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Tom Jordan. I'm the CEO for the Scotts Valley Energy Corporation. Let me see if I can expand on Catherine's description. The material that we use is primarily forest material. We can use multiple materials. We tend to keep away from biomass that's a waste material because of the wetness of the material. We like material that's only 20-25% moisture content. Wood is a primary function of that. Any carbon-based material can be used to be broken down. So as she's indicated, it is chipped down to a very small size, smaller than a pellet stove size matter or pellet. It's even smaller than that. The material is auger fed into the closed cylinder that she's described as the artist unit. That artist unit is sealed. It heats to 600 degrees Celsius. That heating at that level breaks it down into the two products that she's indicated, the syngas and the biochar. The syngas is then a flammable gas. It is used to drive gensets. The gensets then generate electricity. We have a 15-year PPA agreement, power purchase agreement with PG&E to purchase that energy generated at the site at a secured rate for a 15-year period of time. So it doesn't go directly to the transfer station or the substation that PG&E has down the road across on the north side, but it feeds into that 12 kilovolt line that they have running all the way up Red Hills Road. So that's the simple function of the process that is contained. The biochar, as she's indicated, is a soil amendment. When we use biochar as a soil amendment, the whole process is carbon negative because we are sequestering carbon, pure carbon, back into the environment, into the ground, where it is used as a soil amendment to both contain water and to process materials or chemical materials like phosphorus and potassium and nitrogen. We can also use it for other materials or other products. It's used in the health industry. N95 mask has a level of biochar in them. The cosmetics industry uses biochar. I was just over at the dollar store, and there now is a Colgate toothpaste which has biochar in it because it's a cleaning or filtration system. So it has multiple purposes. It is a commodity that we intend to sell as addition to the selling directly wholesale to the PG&E through their line. So that's why you have the pole is adjacent to our property. On Red Hills Road, there will be a second pole as described in the report that brings the connection to our system. I think that answers all the questions that you had.
Yeah, that was a good description of the system. That's interesting, to see. Just another question, I guess. These facilities, you can pretty much put them anywhere, right? Or why was it this location the spot to do it at?
Well, as I say in business, location, location, location. And so this is a location because one, it is the only piece of fee land that the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians is actually the property owners of. So we had the land. Second, it is next to a large power distributions wiring system or wheeling system as it's used in the industry, which is the 12 kilovolt system. And that system can thirdly accept additional alternative power, whether it come from solar, whether it come from geothermal, whether it come from wind, or whether it comes from a bioenergy plant. So those are the three conditions that make this site available. Our units are small because we're looking at a distributive system as opposed to what the state of California one time wanted was a 30 megawatt biomass generation system. And the problem with that is the transportation of the biomass material is such a huge footprint that the carbon footprint doesn't pencil out and the cost of transporting doesn't pencil out. There's a plant like that trying to be put in place up in Sierra County, and they're running into the same problem. The footprint is too wide for the transportation costs. So we like the second thing, which is location of the material. We're putting in a major use permit that'll come before your board, your commission sometime, hopefully this year, for a centralized wood processing campus in Upper Lake, where we will actually process the wood material coming out of the forest and the woodland urban interface called the Woolly, which a clerk is working on in creating material. So we're looking at the material coming from Lake County, used in Lake County, turning it into a viable commercial product. So this is non-commercial quality material. It's not commercial grade timber that would come out of the forest that would go to the lumber companies and the lumber yards.
Thank you. Any questions? So we'll just check the Zoom room. I believe public comment is still open.
No hands in the Zoom room?
All right, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and bring you back to the board for further questions or action.
Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Price?
I have no questions either.
I was here for that earlier iteration in 2020, and it's significantly changed, different, and still makes sense to me. I thought it made sense then, and it makes sense to me now.
Yes, I was here for that as well. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, in regards to the addendum, I move that the Planning Commission accept the addendum to the mitigated negative declaration and associated initial study IS 19-09 for the Red Hills Bioenergy Project and find that this addendum does meet the requirements of section 15164 of the CEQA guidelines and that no additional environmental review need be prepared with the findings listed in the staff report dated June 8th, 2023.
Second?
Commissioner Hess?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Price?
Aye.
Commissioner Field is absent, and I vote aye as well.
Okay. In regards to the amendment, I move that the County of Lake Planning Commission approve an amendment MMU 23-02 to the Red Hills Bioenergy Project UP 19-05 by adopting new conditions of approval dated June 8th, 2023 with the findings listed in the staff report.
Second?
Commissioner Hess?
Aye.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Field is absent. I vote aye as well, and the motion passes. Note, the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-day calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. Please be advised that this modification will be decided by the Lake County Board of Supervisors, which makes any appeal of the Planning Commission's recommendations redundant. If an appeal is filed, the appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day, following the Commission's final determination. Thank you. Moving on to our department update. Non-timed items.
Thank you. We have no non-timed items. I'm happy to give you an abbreviated update. First, I wanted to express my appreciation for the Planning Commission. This was a robust agenda, and our next meeting will also be robust. So I really appreciate your endurance and your ongoing clarity of mind, and there were no glazed eye looks or anything today, so that was awesome. Additionally, I wanted to express appreciation to our planning staff. Because of the change at the state level, which you may have heard of, the state is discontinuing provisional licenses for cannabis as of the end of this month. And so there was a lot of pressure from our applicants to get done what we could get done. And so I asked the planning staff to add some extra effort to take a look at the projects that we had that had completed their environmental review and we're just waiting on staff reports. And so that is why this meeting and next meeting are particularly robust. So we will go back to more realistic agendas after this push, but the whole push was to accommodate a deadline at the state level. That being said, actually, that's all I have. I was just really hoping that if it was an appropriate moment, Commissioner Price might introduce the newest future planner or planning commissioner.
Yes, please.
I will get him. He's swaddled, but I'll get him. I just wanted to also say I really appreciate the presentations today, the way that they were laid out and the way that they kind of summed up, you know, for the public, basically, because we do have our reports, but I feel like it's illustrated really nicely here lately. So I'll go get him. Oh my God.
Oh, my.
This is baby Leo. Hold on, he's blurry. There he is.
Hello, Leo.
Yes, he's it's been great. He's been a really good baby. So
He's already working.
it's been really good.
You are good at swaddling.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everyone's patience as well, and I was looking forward to at least getting on and seeing everybody's face and you know, being a part of all the decisions we made today.
Thank you.
Yep.
That concludes my department update.
And the meeting will be adjourned at 2:41. Have a good
Well,
weekend.
thanks, guys.